You know, nice childhood memories are overrated. Let's head back to some formative stories and just absolutely ruin them with violence and disturbing imagery, just for fun. Fairy tales have been mostly neutered over the years, but they, like a lot of things, have been converted into perfect little family-friendly tales of triumph. Well, no more of that. We're counting down the top 5 fairy tales with dark origins. Let's go. Coming in at number 5, we've got Snow White. Ah, Snow White. Friend to animals everywhere, legendary bird impersonator, and mother figure to 7 little dwarves. How lovely, right? But unfortunately, Disney's first animated musical fairy tale feature doesn't tell the whole story like it is, so you might want to reconsider all of that grumpy merch you own. You know, the stuff with him standing cross-armed and sassy with a slogan like, "Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee," because I'm not so sure you want your good-natured prickliness associated with the story we're about to unravel. You ready? Okay. So, you know how Snow White eats the poison apple and falls asleep, and then the prince comes along and kisses her back to life? It's kinda creepy out of context, sure, but the real story is even creepier. Apparently she was actually awoken by the jostling of his horse as he was riding back to the castle, with her that he assumed was dead strapped to the saddle. Uh-oh. Absolutely laden with taboo implications, but we'll save the discussion of necro stuff for another day. Right. So that's one dark twist you probably weren't aware of. Another is that Snow White's father, the king, was actually the reason she ran away from home in the first place. He thought she was radiant, gorgeous, too pretty for this world, and he got obsessive enough that she had to go before he went a little too far with it. What about the dwarves though? Well, they're not the adorable, helpful group of tiny bearded dudes we've all come to know and love. Apparently, they don't just welcome her into their home after she cleans up a little. No, they literally restrain and enslave her. And there may or may not be some degradation of a sexual nature. Oh boy. Add in some really gruesome torture and a molten hot fate for the evil queen, and you've got a gnarly tale. So yeah, Snow White is not the pure as snow story you might have imagined. Hey, if you're liking this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. It really helps out with the algorithm. On with the video. Coming in at number 4, we've got The Little Mermaid. Poor Ariel. The idea that a young woman would give up her voice wholesale so she can woo a prince is actually a pretty dark tale to begin with, but it gets darker. A lot darker. So in the version most folks are familiar with, our red-haired water dweller manages to strike up a deal with a sea witch in order to have a chance of scoring with a prince. Tail for legs, voice for no voice, and a whole lot of misfortune. But in that version, at least there are some happy, fun talking sea creatures and a nice ending. Not so much in the OG edition. After everything Ariel goes through, from giving up her life underwater to adjusting to solid ground to being at the mercy of a terrible entity, one would hope she would have some sort of comeback arc. Well, not so much. Pining after a prince who doesn't know you exist is probably a bad call, and Ariel learns this the hard way. She, after spying on the Bachelor, finds out that he's interested in marrying a princess, which shouldn't come as a surprise to most because that's what princes usually do, but Ariel doesn't know what land people do, it's all brand new. So she witnesses a passionate kiss between royals and decides, that's it, no more. The poor girl tosses herself into the surf and becomes froth, like sea foam. This ending was seen as too dark at the time, so Hans Christian Andersen had to go back and change it up. Instead of the dying and becoming nasty foam atop seawater, she dies and then becomes a daughter of the air, waiting to go to heaven, which I guess is better, and she's still dead. Not by a whole lot, I guess. It's no wonder the story was changed up a bunch for more modern audiences. Coming in at number 3, we've got the Pied Piper. You definitely want to pay the magical man who can lure all the creatures out of your town, because just in case you forgot, your children are creatures too. The Pied Piper is a classic fairy tale with all of the classic fairy tale fixins. We got magic, we got rats, we got a man with a pipe, we got dumb and stupid villagers, we got a cave, we've got implications of child mistreatment, oh boy. So the more modern tale is pretty bleak too, but the original is wild. The one we know involved a man in a patchwork jacket coming to a rat-infested town and offering to do away with the rodents for a price. The villagers agree and off the Piper goes, and all the rats too. However, when he returns they refuse to pay. What's a poor Piper to do? Well, he's actually got a plan. Lure all of the children away from the village. Revenge is sweet, isn't it? So he lures the children, and eventually the villagers notice, causing them to panic and then pay up. But everyone lives happily ever after, right? But sometimes you don't get a chance to make things right. A theme that is explored in the original Tale of the Piper. See, in true fairy tale style, he takes the kids away and seals them in a cave. How are the kids supposed to survive in a cave? Well, it's up to them. Yikes. Another even darker ending sees the Piper literally drown the children in a river. There's no going back after that, no saving them by spelunking. Some folks claim that the first Pied Piper had a penchant for doing unsavory things with the children too. Definitely not the simple morality tale we expected. Coming in at number 2, we've got Rumpelstiltskin. Why this terrible little man wants to steal a woman's firstborn child, we may never know, and to be honest, it's probably best that we don't know what his intentions are. Some things are better left unsaid. But there are details to this tale that are even darker and stranger than wanting to steal a child. I know it's hard to top that, but we'll try. So the story, famously performed in children's theater and also by the Muppets, goes a little something like this. A woman is poor and sad. Her dad claims that she can spin straw into gold, and now the king has locked her away in a room full of straw until she can prove her skills. Greasy gremlin man appears and tells her that he'll do it for her in exchange for her jewelry. The king isn't satisfied though and puts her in a bigger room full of straw. Without any jewelry left to give the gold spinning goblin, he says he'll do it again if she promises to give him her firstborn child. She agrees, gets the gold, and then marries the king. Years later, she's powerful and happy and pregnant. When she pops out a kid, Rumpelstiltskin comes to collect. But the woman doesn't want to give up her beautiful little baby, so she looks for a way out. Not exactly the best role model here, you know, going back on your deals, but we'll let it slide. For some reason, Rumpelstiltskin gives her an out. If she can guess his name within 3 days, she can keep the child. So the woman sneaks about, learns his name, and guesses correctly. Some versions say that poor Rumpelstiltskin gets mad and runs off, and that's that. But the darker version says he gets so mad that he stomps his foot into the ground, and it actually goes deep into the ground because he stomps so hard, and then when he tries to pull it out of the ground, he literally rips himself in half. What a sight that would be. And finally, at number 1, we've got Pinocchio. So many details from the original Pinocchio are kind of breezed over in the Disney version. This makes it more family friendly, but it gets a lot worse at teaching the lessons it wants to get across. Also, it's just less interesting overall. The story does play out similarly, but it's a whole lot darker for sure. First of all, Pinocchio, in a fit of childish rage, literally kills Jiminy Cricket for trying to give him advice. He tosses a hammer at the bug, who does not dodge in time and gets crushed. No more Jiminy after that. Scientists wept after not being able to study a talking insect. Pinocchio doesn't even feel bad about it. After this, he ends up burning his own feet off because he fell asleep above a stove. Ouch. Geppetto makes him some new ones, but honestly, he would have been better off without any. After this, he runs off and finds some weirdos who think planting gold coins will result in a golden coin tree, and then they literally hang him and leave him for dead. Good thing he's a puppet, not a real boy. Jeez, definitely a little darker than the Disney fare. Although getting swallowed whole by a whale isn't exactly lighthearted now, is it? Great! We love a good story turned on its family-friendly head. It seems as though any story that's been adapted for the modern era leaves out a whole lot of gruesome details. It might make it more marketable, but then the tales are so much less fun. What'd you think? What's the darkest fairy tale of all time? Did you know about all the nasty details of these ones? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more perilous ones from the top 5 best horror movies based on real life. Don Flynn says, I read once that the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street was taken from a boy who refused to go to sleep for days because he thought whoever was chasing him in his dreams would kill him. He actually died in his sleep while having a nightmare. Did he live on Elm Street too? That's wild. Glaceon002 says Texas Chainsaw was based off a guy who enjoyed taking bones from his local cemetery to make decorations and furniture. As far as I know, they never killed anyone, just had a bone obsession. Ed Gein, legendary, but I'm pretty sure he did kill though. Dampy Senpai says I live in a horror story every day, going to work. Me too, although horror is actually in my job description. Just Some Bigfoot with Memes says they should make some movies based on the encounters with us Bigfoots. Hey, didn't you used to be some Bigfoot with internet access? Or are there more big feet than I anticipated? And that's all the time we have for today. I'm going to put the final touches on my homemade rubber band bungee jumping rig. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, another audio test.
La 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 la. Thank you, thank you. I trained classically.
Oh, you did?
No. Not even a little bit.
Good, because I did not believe you.
Fairy tales with dark origins. I don't know why I wrote this sentence like this, but I'll just do it anyway. They're figured to 7 lovely dwarves. How lovely, right? Did I say lovely dwarves? I should have said little. Damn it, I'm having trouble with this one apparently. Also my nose is itchy. Stop it. Little Mermaid. Which is Hans Christian Andersen.
Oh yeah, he really kills it.
Yeah. So he actually, I guess you'll learn, but he actually like he wrote a darker ending and then had to like retcon it a little bit because people were like, Hans, like chill out.
Wasn't it like?
Right? No. Right? No. Right. So the more modern. See, in. Oh my. A woman is poor and sad. Her Did you know all the I'm dying. That's true.